Welcome back, everybody. Today's deep dive might seem a little bit, well, unusual at first.
Yeah.
Marketing for addiction treatment centers.
Interesting topic.
It is. It is. And, when I first saw this, I thought, marketing. But then I thought, well, how do people find these places?
Right.
Like, how do people actually find the help they need? So we're going to explore how to reach people who need help, but also stay sensitive to the situation.
Compassionate marketing.
Yeah, compassionate marketing.
Yeah.
And our guide for today is an article from Mastermind SEO.
Interesting.
And they're a digital marketing agency, and they actually work with these centers.
Okay, so they know their stuff.
They do, which is why I was really interested in digging into this.
Yeah, and it's more complex than you might think, really.
Oh.
There are so many layers
Yeah.
you have to think about, from the ethics
Yeah.
to the fact that it's such a diverse audience.
Well, and that's one of the things that really surprised me in this article was how important SEO is.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll get into that a little bit later, but it's almost like SEO becomes a lifeline
It does.
in connecting people with the resources they need.
Yeah,
But, before we even get into the tactics, we have to start with the foundation.
the basics,
Yeah, the audience.
for sure.
And this article really, really stresses the need for compassion in every single aspect of the marketing, because you're not selling a product.
Right.
You're connecting with people at a very vulnerable point in their lives.
You have to remember that for a lot of people, stigma is the biggest barrier
Yeah.
to actually reaching out and seeking help.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid of being judged
Right.
by, their friends,
Yep.
family,
Oh,
employers.
yeah, it's a big deal.
So effective marketing has to address that fear directly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they talk about using language that's empathetic,
So supportive.
non-judgmental,
Yeah.
and it seems obvious, but you'd be surprised.
Yeah, you would.
How many campaigns miss the mark? So instead of shame, you have to offer a sense of hope and understanding.
The article even talks about the emotional
Yeah.
and psychological state of the audience
Of the audience, yeah.
that you're talking to.
Right.
So the language you use can either make someone feel safe enough to reach out,
Yeah.
or it can push them further into isolation.
Wow.
So I want to ask you, what kind of message
Yeah.
would actually make you feel safe and encouraged to reach out for help if you were in that situation?
That's such a good question.
Yeah.
I think it would have to be something that acknowledged the struggle, but also offered like a sense of hope. Like there's a light at the end of the tunnel,
Okay.
and it definitely can't sound judgmental.
Right.
Yeah, I can see why this is such a tough thing for marketers to get right.
It is for sure.
Yeah.
And then there's another layer too.
Yeah.
You have to think about the audience
Yeah.
and how incredibly diverse it is.
Right. Yeah.
Addiction affects people from all walks of life.
Mm-hmm.
There is no one stereotype.
Right.
Mastermind SEO, they actually did some research on this.
Okay.
And they said that treatment centers need to be ready to reach people of all ages, genders,
Ethnicity?
socioeconomic background.
Okay. So you can't just have like one generic campaign
Right.
and hope it works for everyone.
Exactly. It doesn't work that way.
No.
And the article highlights how challenging this is for marketers.
Yeah.
Because it's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Right.
So your images,
Mm.
your language, even the channels you use
Yeah.
have to resonate
Yeah.
with diverse groups of people.
So how do they tailor these? Like, what does that even look like?
Well, think back to what we said about the fear of judgment.
Yeah.
They found that one of the best ways to address this is to showcase real stories
Okay.
from people in recovery, but not just any stories, right? You want to highlight
Yeah.
a diverse group of individuals.
Yeah.
So, for example, they shared this case study where a treatment center was trying to target young adults
Okay.
struggling with opioid addiction.
Okay.
And so they featured a testimonial
Okay.
from a young entrepreneur who had gone through their program
Okay.
and was successful.
Yeah.
And they highlighted how the center had helped him get his life back on track
Right.
and achieve his business goals.
That's a good example because instead of relying on stereotypes,
Yeah,
they presented someone who would actually resonate with their target audience.
exactly.
And show them that recovery is possible, no matter who you are.
It's about breaking down those barriers,
Yeah.
those assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about marketing in this context,
Yeah.
you have to ask yourself,
Yeah.
how can I challenge stereotypes
Right.
and make sure that my message reaches as many people as possible?
Okay, so we've talked about the audience
Yeah.
and the need for sensitivity.
Right.
But there's another big element that the article touches on, and it's something I've always wondered about too.
What's that?
The ethics.
Yeah.
How do you market something like addiction treatment
Right.
without exploiting people
Right.
who are already in a very vulnerable position?
Yeah.
It's tough.
It is a tough one.
Yeah.
That's something that Mastermind SEO takes very seriously.
Yeah.
And in their article, they stress that marketing addiction treatment is like walking an ethical tightrope.
It is.
It really is.
Yeah.
And they have two major points.
Okay.
Honesty and transparency
Yeah.
are paramount.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely no
Oh.
misleading claims
Okay.
or exploiting vulnerabilities.
Yeah. So no preying on desperation.
Right.
I mean, you can see how that would be tempting for some marketers.
Yeah, you can.
If somebody is searching desperately for help.
But that's when it's most important to be ethical
Yeah.
and to remember that you're trying to be a helpful guide,
Right.
not taking advantage of this situation.
Right. Yeah.
It's about empowering them to make an informed decision about their recovery,
Right.
not trying to manipulate them with like high-pressure tactics
Yeah.
or fear-mongering.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So how do they actually implement these ethical marketing strategies? Like, what are the tactics?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
And that's where we'll pick things up in part 2 of our deep dive.
All right. We'll be right back. Okay. So welcome back. In part 1, we laid some of that groundwork, talking about the sensitivity, the audience, and the ethics.
Yeah, those ethical tightrope.
Those ethical tightropes that they have to walk. So now let's get into the actual strategies.
Yeah, let's dive into that.
Let's dive in. Where does a treatment center even begin when trying to reach people online?
So one of the most important strategies that Mastermind SEO emphasizes is content marketing.
Content marketing.
Yeah.
I always thought that was for selling, like
Yeah.
products or courses or...
Yeah, you think of like
Yeah.
e-commerce and
Yeah.
things like
So
that.
how does that work with addiction treatment?
It's all about educating and empowering people.
Okay.
So think about it. Blog posts,
Okay.
videos, ebooks,
Mhm.
downloadable resources, anything that provides really valuable information
Yeah.
and helps people understand addiction and recovery better.
Okay.
So you're not pushing a hard sell here.
Right.
You're establishing the center as a trusted resource.
So instead of directly advertising their services, they're
Yeah.
creating content that addresses people's questions and concerns?
Exactly. And Mastermind SEO found that people who are searching for addiction treatment often start by looking for information.
Okay.
So they might search for things like signs of alcohol addiction,
Okay.
how to help a loved one with drug abuse.
So the treatment center creates like blog posts or videos
Yeah.
around those topics.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that way, when people search for that, they find it.
That makes sense. But how do people find that content?
Right.
It's not like everybody's just browsing treatment websites for fun.
Well, that's where SEO comes in. And this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, and remember how we talked about SEO being like a lifeline?
Yeah.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around that a little bit.
It's a bit of a
Yeah.
different way to think about it.
Isn't SEO just about getting websites to rank higher on Google?
It is, but in this context, it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
Think about it. Someone who's struggling with addiction, or their loved one is, they're going through a really difficult time.
Yeah.
And they're likely turning to the internet for answers,
Yeah.
support, hope.
Mm-hmm.
SEO ensures that when they search for help, the right resources show up.
So SEO is really important.
It's crucial, yeah.
What are some specific things that treatment centers can do to optimize then?
Well, one thing that Mastermind SEO highlights is using the right keywords.
Okay.
And they don't just mean general terms like
Hmm.
addiction treatment.
Right.
They emphasize what they call long-tail keywords.
Okay, long tail key.
So these are longer, more specific phrases
Oh.
that people might search for when they're looking for help.
Can you give me an example of a long tail keyword?
Sure. Let's say someone's concerned about their teenage son,
Okay.
who they think might be addicted to painkillers. Instead of just searching for drug rehab,
Yeah.
they might search for best teen rehab centers for prescription drug abuse
Okay.
or inpatient treatment programs for opioid addiction near me.
Okay, so it's more specific
Much more specific.
to what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And then by using those phrases on their websites,
Yeah, okay.
they're more likely to show up in
Exactly.
the search results.
It's about anticipating what people are searching for
Okay.
and making sure your content aligns with their needs.
Okay, so content marketing and SEO are about providing that information and then making sure people can find it.
Yes.
What about paid advertising? I've always been a little skeptical about that,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to addiction treatment.
Right?
It feels a bit, I don't know.
Exploitative.
Yeah. Exploitative. Yeah.
I get it. And to be honest, paid advertising in this field requires a lot of sensitivity
Yeah.
and ethical consideration.
Right.
Mastermind SEO has a whole section in the article about this.
Oh, good.
Because platforms like Google Ads and Facebook Ads, they can be really powerful tools,
Yeah.
but they need to be used responsibly.
Yeah. How do you use paid ads ethically when you're targeting people who are very vulnerable?
The key is to focus on providing value
Okay.
and avoiding anything that could be seen as exploitative
Yeah.
or misleading.
Okay.
Remember those long-tail keywords we talked about?
Yeah.
They're crucial for paid ads, too.
Okay.
So let's say a treatment center wants to reach parents
Okay.
who are worried about their child's substance use.
Okay.
Instead of targeting a broad keyword like drug addiction,
Yeah.
they could target phrases like help for my child's drug problem
Right.
or signs my teenager is using drugs.
So they're reaching out to people who are already looking for help, not just, browsing the internet.
Exactly. And the ads themselves
Yeah.
shouldn't be pushy or salesy.
Okay.
They should focus on offering support,
Yeah.
resources,
Mm-hmm.
and encouragement.
Okay.
So think along the lines of, concerned about your child's substance use? We're here to help.
Okay.
Or, confidential support is available 24/7. Get the help you need today.
Okay.
So it's not about tricking people
Yeah.
into clicking an ad. It's about providing that lifeline
Right.
to those who are already searching.
Okay. Yeah.
And both Google and Facebook have strict policies
Okay.
to prevent the exploitation of vulnerable people.
Good.
So, for example, they have rules against using language that preys on people's fears or desperation,
Yeah.
and they prohibit ads that make misleading claims.
Okay. So there are some guardrails in place.
Yes, there are.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
What about social media?
So social media is a really powerful tool
Okay.
for building community and breaking down stigma.
Yeah.
It's a place where treatment centers can share informative and inspirational content,
Okay.
success stories,
Yeah.
resources,
Mm-hmm.
and create a space for open dialogue about addiction and recovery.
Right. And that can be really valuable
Yeah,
for people who are feeling alone.
absolutely.
Social media is all about connecting.
It is.
And that's what people struggling with addiction need.
Exactly. And Masterminds SEO found that social media can be really effective for reaching younger audiences.
Okay.
For example, they shared a case study of a treatment center that was using Instagram
Okay.
to share short videos
Okay.
featuring young people in recovery
Okay.
talking about their experiences.
That's interesting. So they're creating kind of a peer support network.
Exactly.
Like that.
And those videos went viral,
Wow.
reaching thousands of young people who might never have sought help otherwise.
So social media can be really effective.
It can.
Uh.
But remember, it needs to be approached with the same ethical considerations
Right.
as any other marketing channel. So it's not about bombarding people with ads.
Right.
It's about creating a supportive and informative community.
Okay. So we talked about content marketing, SEO, paid advertising, social media.
Yeah.
Are there any other strategies?
One final strategy that Masterminds SEO highlights, and it might seem a bit old school,
Okay.
is the power of partnerships and referrals.
So we're talking about offline now.
Well, it's a blend of online and offline.
Okay.
So building relationships with healthcare providers,
Yeah.
mental health professionals,
Mm.
community organizations, it's still incredibly valuable.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if your doctor recommends a treatment center,
Right.
you're probably more likely to trust that
Yeah, you trust your doctor.
than a random ad. Yeah.
It's about building trust and credibility.
Yeah.
And those referrals can come from both online and offline sources.
Okay.
So, for example, a treatment center might partner with a local mental health clinic
Mm.
to offer workshops on addiction and recovery. They could also create online resources that healthcare providers can share with their patients.
So it's a holistic approach,
It is.
combining online strategies like the content marketing and SEO and social media
Yeah,
with those offline partnerships
exactly.
and referrals.
It's about creating a web of support that reaches people at all stages of their journey.
Wow. We covered a lot.
We did.
From online searches to social media to getting referrals.
Yeah,
It's clear that marketing in this field is about so much more than just selling services.
it is.
It's about guiding people towards recovery.
And doing it ethically, compassionately,
Right.
with an understanding of the challenges that people are facing.
Yeah. It's complex.
It is, but there's one final thought I want to leave you with. It's easy to get caught up
Yeah.
in the technical side of things,
Mm-hmm.
like all the strategies,
Yeah.
algorithms, data.
Data. Yeah.
But we have to remember, this is about connecting with real people,
Right.
struggling with a real disease.
Yeah, it's so easy to forget the human element
It is.
when you're talking about keywords and conversion rates and all that.
Numbers.
Yeah, but behind every click,
Yeah.
every website visit, every phone call,
Mm-hmm.
there's a person
There is.
who is hurting and searching for hope.
Absolutely. And that's why the ethics are so important,
Yeah,
because it's not about just getting people in the door.
right.
It's about treating them with respect,
Yeah.
empathy, dignity
Mm-hmm.
throughout their whole journey.
That's what makes this deep dive so interesting.
Yeah.
It's not like a normal marketing conversation.
It's not.
It's about
the
technology,
passion.
ethics.
Yeah,
It's about using marketing to make a difference.
absolutely. And, Mastermind SEO shared a story in this article
Okay.
that really hit home for me.
Yeah.
It was about a woman struggling with alcoholism.
Mm-hmm.
She'd been through a lot of treatment programs,
Oh, wow.
but nothing was working.
Yeah.
She felt hopeless, isolated.
It's heartbreaking.
It is. Think about how many people are out there feeling like that.
Yeah.
But one night, she was on Facebook,
Okay.
and she came across an ad for a treatment center.
Okay.
It wasn't flashy.
Yeah.
It wasn't making big promises.
Yeah.
It was just a simple message of hope and support.
Yeah.
Just saying, like, you don't have to go through this alone.
Right.
We're here to help.
Wow. And that was enough.
It was,
Okay.
she clicked the ad,
Yeah.
went to the website, read some blog posts,
Yeah.
and she was really struck by the tone,
Yeah.
the compassion, the fact that they were addressing her fears.
Yeah.
For the first time, she felt seen,
Wow.
understood.
Yeah.
She reached out, got the help she needed.
That's amazing.
It is.
It really shows the power of a simple message.
It does, and it reminds us that even in the digital age,
Yeah.
human connection is still at the heart of everything.
Yeah.
Marketing, when done right,
Yeah.
can be a bridge.
Yeah. That connects people to the help they need.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up, what's the one key takeaway?
I think it boils down to this. Remember the human element.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that behind every search,
Yeah.
every website visit, every interaction,
Yeah.
there's a person who is struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Treat them with the compassion and respect that you would want for yourself or a loved one,
That's a great point.
because that's what will make the biggest difference.
And before we go, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Okay.
If you were in charge of marketing for a treatment center, what message would you want to send?
That's a great question.
What words would you use to offer hope?
It is a good question.
Yeah.
Because we all have a role to play
Yeah.
in creating a more compassionate and supportive world.
Well, on that note, I think that's a great place to wrap up
Yeah,
this deep dive
it has been
into the world of marketing for addiction treatment centers.
very insightful.
We hope you found it insightful,
Yeah,
thought-provoking,
Inspiring.
inspired. Maybe even
Yeah.
until next time, stay curious, keep learning.
And remember, there's always hope.
Always hope. We'll see you next time.